Hello, I'm Amanda. I work at the South Downs National Park Authority, and part of my job is to give talks and presentations to people to help them understand more about the South Downs National Park and the International Dark Sky Reserve.
I'm Jonathan Dean. I work with Amanda, and as part of my job I help Amanda with presentations, and I also visit lots of schools across Hampshire and Sussex to tell them all about the National Park. This is the South Downs National Park. Everything on the map that's green is the National Park. It's a huge area, over 1,600 square kilometres, and if you walked along the South Downs Way, that's the red line running through the middle of the park on the map, it would take around 1 week, as it's 100 miles long. Can you find a place name you recognise? Is it inside or outside the National Park? Where do you live? Are you inside or outside the National Park? You might have to make an educated guess if the name of your hometown isn't on the map. Once you think you've found out the answers, click on to the next slide. This is one of my favourite places, Shoulder of Mutton Hill, inside the park near Petersfield. I like to sit on the ground there and feel the grass run through my fingers. Can you name one thing you like about the view and one thing you'd like to do if you were there? Once you've had a think, click to the next slide. Shoulder of Mutton Hill is near Petersfield. Can you find Petersfield on the map? Remember, it's inside the National Park. Once you've found it, click on to the next slide.
This is one of my favourite places, Cuckmere Haven, very close to the mouth of the Cuckmere River, where it flows into the sea. I like to sit on the hillside overlooking the meanders in the river and taste the breeze blowing in from the coast. I find it really relaxing. Can you name one thing you like about the view and one thing you'd like to do if you were there? After you've had a think, click on to the next slide. Cuckmere Haven was near the mouth of the Cuckmere River, where it flows into the sea. Can you find it on the map? Rivers are usually blue wiggly lines on a map. If you found it, click on to the next slide. This is at Cuckmere Haven, right on the edge of the land, looking across the mouth of the river at the Seven Sisters Cliffs. Click on to the next slide for a different view at Cuckmere Haven.
This is in the valley of Cuckmere Haven, looking out to sea. Because the sky is really dark at night in Cuckmere Haven, you can see the Milky Way galaxy. It's the wide band of bright light going across the sky. In this picture, it starts in the top left corner and goes down at an angle. If you went to Cuckmere Haven at different times of year and different times of night, you would see the Milky Way at a different angle. This is because the Earth is spinning around on its axis and it's rotating around the Sun. Oh, this is a different map of the South Downs National Park. Instead of being green with the place names and the rivers labelled, there are a range of different colours on the map. I wonder what those colours mean. Perhaps you could explain, Amanda.
I certainly can, but before I explain the colours, I'd like to introduce Dan Oakley. He's a ranger in the National Park and he loves spending time in the National Park at night. He took the photos we've just seen at Cuckmere Haven and Seven Sisters, and he loves it when he can see lots of objects in the night sky. Dan used the word objects because there are more things than just stars in the sky at night. Can you think of 5 things you might see in the night sky? Make a list before advancing to the next slide. Here are some we thought of, but there are lots more. The Moon, a large lump of rock which orbits planet Earth. Shooting stars. They are smaller lumps of rock called meteors, and they burn up as they enter the Earth's atmosphere, leaving a trail of light behind them for just a split second. Orion's Nebula. You'd need a telescope to see it like this. It is a cloud of dust and gas over 1,300 light years away from Earth. With your naked eye, it appears as a bright dot, like a star. The Milky Way. Notice how the angle is slightly different to the way we saw it at Cuckmere Haven. This photo must have been taken at a different time of year. Planets. This is Venus, the bright point of light just above the tree. It is visible during spring when looking to the west. And finally, a tawny owl, or any kind of owl really. These are much closer than the other objects, and we'll talk more about wildlife later. But now, let's advance the slide and get back to that map and try to work out why it has all those funny colours. We know Dan liked spotting all these objects, and he loved taking photos of them. But depending on where he went in the park and when he took his photos, Dan found that sometimes he could see lots of objects and sometimes he couldn't see any. Dan took these 2 photos at the same place on different nights. He really liked his first photo, the one on the left, so he went back a few weeks later to take another photo. But the second one turned out quite differently. Can you spot at least 3 differences between these 2 images? Once you've got at least 3, advance to the next slide. What did you spot? Here's what we thought. You can see the Milky Way in the left-hand picture, and there are lots of stars visible in the sky in the left-hand picture, but not in the right. In the right-hand picture, there's a strange yellow glow in the sky. We think it might be coming from this spotlight near the ground. The spotlight has also lit up the trees and the building, which we could only see a silhouette of in the left-hand picture. Dan thought that this might be happening on a much bigger scale, so he went up onto the downs at night, roughly where the green arrow is on the map, and he took a picture looking south. What do you think the picture might show? Have a think and click onto the next slide to find out. Dan's suspicions were correct. There was the same yellow glow coming from all the towns and cities. The bigger the town or city, the bigger the glow. Dan knew there were other people like him who liked stargazing, and he wanted to help them find the best spots to stargaze and take photos. So he took a light meter around the park with him to measure how much light there was at night. Now I've told you all that, maybe you can help Jonathan. What do you think the colours on the map are showing? Once you've had a think, move to the next slide to find out the answer. Well done if you got it right. The best places to see lots of stars are the parts of the map where it is dark blue. The red bits will have lots of yellow glow in the sky and not many stars. This phenomenon is called light pollution. It is caused by lights that don't point in the right direction. We need some lights at night for our roads and streets, but some lights are better than others. The best lights to reduce light pollution have a cap or cover on them. This makes sure that the light only points at the ground and not into the sky. If you can see the side of a tall building or the leaves at the top of a big tree, there must be some bad lighting around. Dan wanted there to be more places for people to enjoy stargazing. So he wrote to the International Dark Sky Association and told them all about his plans for the South Downs. He had to prove to them he was going to work very hard to reduce the light pollution and improve the skies for people and wildlife. In May 2016, the International Dark Sky Association granted the status of International Dark Sky Reserve to the South Downs National Park. This has been a huge help to Dan, and he was really pleased, as it helps him explain to people what he's trying to do.
Another person who was really pleased about this was Angela. She is really passionate about caring for wildlife. I wonder if you care about animals. Can you think of a time when you have done something to care for wildlife? Angela is particularly fond of owls, which are nocturnal. Do you know what a nocturnal animal is? This might be a new word to you. Nocturnal means an animal that is active at night, and it will usually sleep during the day. In this picture, Angela is installing a barn owl box to help provide a good nesting site for barn owls, which are nocturnal birds. There are lots of nocturnal animals that live in the UK and in the South Downs National Park. How many of these nocturnal animals have you seen before? And have you seen them in videos, in zoos, or in the wild? Once you've had a think, click to the next slide. It's often very difficult to see nocturnal animals, and that's because it's dark when they come out. But we do hear them quite a lot. Which of these animals do you think makes the following sound? If you want to listen again, click play on the speaker icon. And once you've listened and had a think, advance to the next slide to find out which animal it is. Well done if you knew it, or if you guessed correctly. It was a barn owl. That call is a screech, and sometimes they are known as screech owls. And the barn owls use that call to communicate with each other. I've been lucky enough to see a barn owl up close at a show, and I've also seen one flying alongside a lane at dusk. It was really magical to see its white outline floating through the darkness. Take a few moments to read through the facts on the slide before advancing to the next one. Okay, let's try another one. Which of these animals do you think makes this noise? Same as before, if you need to listen again, click on the speaker icon. And once you've listened and had a think, advance to the next slide to find out which animal it is. Well done if you knew it or guessed correctly. That was a pipistrelle bat. Now, in reality, we wouldn't actually be able to hear that noise. That recording was made with a special device which can detect the high-pitched noise that bats make, which are outside of our hearing range. I had a really fun night out with the Sussex Bat Group last year at the Stenning Downland scheme, and they taught me how to use those detectors, which you have to adjust to hear the different frequencies made by the different species of bats. Take a few moments to read through the facts on the slide before advancing. This pipistrelle is being handled by a ranger with a bat handling licence. It is against the law to handle bats without a licence because they are a protected species. If you want an idea of how it would feel to handle a pipistrelle bat, find a 1p or 2p coin and rest it in the palm of your hand. This is the weight of the bat. They are light and agile, so they can move around quickly in the air to catch their prey. Okay, this is the last sound we're going to listen to. Which of these animals do you think makes this noise? As ever, if you want to listen again, just click on the speaker icon. Once you've listened and had a think, advance to the next slide to find out which animal it is. That was a very rare bird called a nightjar. These birds are just otherworldly. When I've been out on heathland at night, hearing those churring calls echoing from the pine trees across open heath is quite spooky. The males can also make a clapping noise by hitting their wingtips together above their heads, and they do this to protect their territory from other males. Take a few moments to read through the facts on the slide before advancing. Well done! You've started your journey to becoming a dark skies explorer. Take a few moments to think about the answers to these questions before advancing to the next slide, where you'll find out what you can do next to help look after wildlife and our dark skies. That was a very rare bird called a nightjar. These birds are just otherworldly. When I've been out on heathland at night, hearing those churring calls echoing from the pine trees across open heath is quite spooky. The males can also make a clapping noise by hitting their wingtips together above their heads, and they do this to protect their territory from other males. Take a few moments to read through the facts on the slide before advancing. Well done! You've started your journey to becoming a dark skies explorer. Take a few moments to think about the answers to these questions before advancing to the next slide, where you'll find out what you can do next to help look after wildlife and our dark skies.
Thank you very much for learning about dark night skies with us. We hope this is the start of your journey to becoming a dark skies explorer. Keep an eye on our website and subscribe to our newsletter for information about our events, including our Dark Skies Festival, which usually runs in February each year. Follow the link in our final slide for more information.